Hello everyone! Yes, this is a unique video on our channel. And now, we are going to compare the two most epic with the best graphics and exciting games in the universe. Raid Shadow Legends and Summoner's War Sky Arena. Take a warm tea with lemon to avoid a cold. Leave a like under the video for the most unexpected video of this year. Subscribe to the channel and links to both games will be in the description. And by the way, in Raid you will also receive gifts right at the start of the game in the form of cool heroes. What it is and what for, you will find out in the course of the video. Here we go! At the beginning, a few words about each of the games. Raid Shadow Legends was originally an exclusively mobile game released in 2019 and developed by the Ukrainian branch of Plarium.
We were thinking, why not make a game for people who'll say, oh cool, there are Necromancer Knights here, I'll play it. And why not make the foundations of the gameplay awesome, too?
But since 2020, the ability to install Raid has also appeared on PC. The game has PvE and PvP content. In PvE, a story campaign of 12 chapters, dungeons, and raids. In PvP, arenas. But the key and most recognizable part of Raid are the cool graphics and the whole meme layer thanks to its advertising. Anyone who has not even played on Raid will be able to identify the game by literally one screenshot. So often and much about it all spoke. Summoner's War. Summoner's War. It was released in 2014 on mobile devices, and before our time still did not get a full launcher on PC. Developed by the South Korean company Com2 US. The game was received extremely positively by various gaming publications. The graphics and design were also praised here, but this was long before Raid. Then, this cartoon style was not in all games of the same genre. Among the features of the game, I would single out rare collaborations with other universes. For example, in 2020, the game had a crossover with Street Fighter. Well, now let's take a closer look at these games. Availability of these games on PC. It's no secret that nowadays there are many ways to run mobile games and apps on home PCs, and it is in the case of Summoner's War that you will need it. Not only will the player have to install additional PC software like BlueStacks or LD Player, it is also necessary to enable additional settings in the BIOS settings if you have a processor without a video core. And how many of you are ready to understand the BIOS for the sake of the game? At the same time, Raid. Right on the official page of the game, there is the ability to download the PC launcher and without any additional actions to launch the game. All control will be optimized under the computer and there will be high-resolution textures in the game, especially for large screens of home computers. For ease of installation, we give 1 point to Raid. Score 1-0. Graphics and system requirements. Both games have the same minimum requirements. 4 GB of RAM and 5 GB of hard disk space. But if you look at Raid, you can see why such requirements. But for Summoners, the visual clearly does not meet the required characteristics. Yes, any PC can handle these games these days, but objectively, Raid deserves another point for having better graphics. Score 2-0. Now there will be a very slippery topic, because there are a lot of donations in one game and another. If we don't hide anything, then you could say even simpler, the games from this video are completely pay to win. The difference between donators and ordinary mortals is very big. In Raid, a buy something ad pops up after almost every action. In Summoners, the same, but a little more rarely. However, in Raid there are regional prices that adjust to the players, and in Summoners there is one single exchange rate. It is in dollars. That is, there will be an overpayment for double conversion. It would be possible to give Raid another point for the aforementioned regional, but we will not do this. Yet too often a reminder comes out asking you to donate and buy something. The score is still 2-0. Game popularity. I remind you that Summoner's War came out 5 years earlier than Raid. And alas, there is no information anywhere in the public domain about the number of players online, so we will rely solely on Google Trends and information from Google Play. As I said, until 2019, Raid was not in the public domain and was not particularly interested in it. And Summoners was high on everyone, but after the release, popularity skyrocketed and gradually replaced the leader from his position in just a couple of years. Can you guess in which countries which game is popular? Come on, I'll give you 5 seconds to write your guesses in the comments. Summoner's War is popular in Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, Korea, and Brazil. But Raid has captured all the top positions in Uzbekistan, Ukraine, Russia, the Czech Republic, and Denmark. But if you look at the numbers on Google Play, we will see the following: 2.3 million reviewers for Summoner's War and 1.78 million for Raid. The difference doesn't seem like much, but if we look at the number of downloads, we see 10 million for Raid versus 50 million for Summoners. And if Summoners still held the first position on Google, then the point would have gone to them. But because they have a negative growth in popularity, the score becomes 3-0 in favor of Raid Shadow Legends. Number of characters. But here's what Raid doesn't even come close to against his opponent: the number of heroes. Many people know that in the epic dark fantasy, aka Shadow Legends, there are a lot of characters, or rather 712. I agree, the figure is not small and impressive. They are all divided into their races and have unique features. But look here, 1,428 heroes in Summoner's War. I don't know why they have so many characters, but the number speaks for itself. On the one hand, yes, it's cool that there are so many of them, but you try to get 5-star champions from this whole crowd. To be honest, it is extremely difficult to get a high-level character in both Raid and Summoners, and this is a manifestation of luck if you get one. But this is all lyrics. Dry facts say this: 712 against 1,428, the point goes in favor of the Summoners, which means the score becomes 3-1. Threshold to enter the game. Raid. It is best to play with a calculator in an embrace, since you will have to calculate a lot of different numbers of damage, protection, and bonuses from different buffs. Make the slightest difference in numbers, and you may not have enough characteristics to defeat the boss or win PvP at high LVL. However, at the first levels, everything is quite simple and does not require much effort from the player. But the further you go, the harder it is, especially if you don't have cool heroes with strong skills. In Summoners, the situation is about the same, and indeed, as in all normal games, the difficulty will increase. Only now, closer to the endgame content, there are no new complications of the gameplay. Easy entry and smooth continuation. The main difficulty of the game is a huge number of characters among which you need to knock out one chosen one and not finding the perfect damage formula as in Raid. So each game gets 1 point for a fairly friendly approach to new players. Score: 4-2. Bonuses at the start of the game. Immediately and without warning, I declare Raid the winner in this nomination, since it has his various bonuses for beginners, while Summoner's War does not. The fact is that Shadow Legends is aimed at a very different audience. Unlike its opponent from the Asian market, if we played from Asia, perhaps there would also be some bonuses for us. But alas, such luxury remains only a dream. But in Raid, bonuses are available for many regions. Point goes to Raid and score is 5-2. Events. And now there will be a surprise. It would seem that Raid now leads in points. The game is popular and probably has cool out-of-game events, various events in the game, etc. Yes? No, nothing like that. All that Plarium can afford is to create cool cinematic videos with famous characters or use the image of popular streamers and cyber sportsmen like Ninzi or Sasha Simple. That's all. At the same time, Summoner's War, which is up to this point has been modestly standing with 2 points, calmly arranges gatherings of fans with the distribution of merchandise, collaborations with various other universes, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Street Fighter, and also most recently with Cookie Run Kingdom. They release official chibi figurines of characters, and even, think about it, they have esports with Ian tournaments, whole analytics studios and commentators. I think it has already become clear to everyone who is cool and who will get a point. Summoner's War. Score: 5-3. PvP. From the previous paragraph, we learned that summoners have PvP tournaments and a real-time PvP system, which means again I prematurely give a point to them, since in Raid PvP, the component is not based on real-time battles, but more casually. Here, the gamer fights against another player's avatar, just a mirrored shell of a real account with all its characteristics. Roughly speaking, this is PvP, but against a bot created in the likeness of a person. So the point is again not in favor of Raid, and the score becomes 5-4. Community. What in one game, what in another? The age of gamers is very different. However, the main part of the most avid gamers are adults who are able to pay for the game, because as I mentioned earlier, it is difficult to play at high levels without donation, and it is easier to throw $30 than to sit and farm something for a couple of days. However, there is still a huge difference between the two projects. In Raid, as you remember, according to statistics, the CIS community and Europe are mainly, but in Summoners, there are mostly Asians. And how many of you know Chinese? Therefore, for the lack of a language barrier between the players, 1 point in favor of Raid. Score 6-4. In many other aspects, the games are similar to each other, but with their differences in the little things, from the combat system to pumping. In both games, you need to take into account different combinations of elements. For example, earth beats lightning, fire beats ice, etc. The battle consists of 3 rounds, and for the development of the character, it is necessary to feed him other weaker heroes. The plot is nominal in both projects, except that in Raid it is also voiced, but everyone skips it.
Many centuries ago, warriors all, they fought and bled to free this beautiful land from the unholy creatures.
So I don't even know what else we can compare and find the strengths and weaknesses of the two projects. But still, the first thing that catches your eye and will be critical for many is the difference in graphics and the method of installation on a PC. But otherwise, these are pretty good games for their genre. But even considering these 2 points, I would choose Raid because I don't want to fool around with the settings, and it's more pleasant to look at modern graphics and not Dendy level games. Moreover, Raid very often has some kind of promotions and distributions of promo codes, not only to new players, but also to those who have been playing for a long time. So everyone will be able to receive gifts from the developers. And as a result, we get that Raid Shadow Legends wins with a score of 6-4. By right of the strongest, in the future we will compare Raid with other popular games of this genre. Maybe someone else will be able to score more points. In the meantime, a link to Raid will be waiting for you in the description. Go ahead, register and play. Also on our channel, you will find a lot of different Raid content, instructions on how best to start, and what heroes are needed for a comfortable game. And for me, put a like for this video, subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new videos. Good luck and bye!